Hey everyone! So today I thought I'd give a little update on the survival horror game that I've been developing over, let's say, the past 4 or so years now. It's been a long time, and I started this project out in the Dreams beta, so this was Dreams on the PlayStation 4, and this was me coming off the back of Little Big Planet. This was me trying to get into game dev, 3D game dev, trying to learn basically how to do it. And it was fantastic because back then Dreams had a really close community. You know, it was very well loved and supported. Nowadays not so much, but there's still a few people that I've kept in touch with, especially there's some viewers here on the channel that have stuck with me here throughout the development, and you know, I've been watching the development of their games and their projects, so I've got a lot of fond memories of that time. But I took a pretty big break this year from Dreams and from developing any kind of games, because in a previous video I mentioned that I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I went to the hospital, you know, I had a lot of complications. So I've just really been recovering, and so this entire year I've really not done too much development. And the previous few years development was kind of slowing down because that's when like the illness kind of started, and I didn't really realise. So, you know, I was getting tired, I was a little bit in pain, and it just kind of got in the way. And you know, that this sort of game dev journey for me, it is a hobby, right? So, you know, once I finish this game in Dreams, I can't sell it, I can't make a commercial game, so it was really just for fun. And I think the fact that I did live stream it and make videos on it, it was great because it kept pushing me forward. We were growing a little community and we were all kind of hanging out and contributing together. It was fantastic. But it's went through a lot of different iterations over the years. So when I first started this project, it was very basic because I didn't know how to use the tools, you know, in the game dev tools. I didn't know how to use them. Didn't really make anything 3D before. Didn't really make a big ambitious game before. So everything was new for me. I was still learning, and we just kind of started off by, you know, doing some simple level design, just trying to structure the game. And that took a while, but we managed to finish the game start to finish in terms of the general level design, how all the environments were going to look, and how they were all going to connect together. But I was still quite, you know, amateurish at that point. I didn't really know how to make my own graphics. I was using a lot of community assets. But nowadays, you know, I know how to make my own graphics and texture, and I feel a lot more confident in my level design and game design skills. So over a period of time, I kind of went back over everything that we made in that period, and I'm still using it as a blueprint, but I kind of restarted, and I decided, like, okay, so for example, we have an alleyway scene, but I'm going to update it completely, so it's going to look different. And one thing I did with the game is, what happened in Dreams was basically you could publish as many scenes as you like. It was infinite, but after they changed the servers, they limited it to like a certain number. I can't remember if it's 250 scenes. So now that you're limited, I thought, right, if I'm going to make future games on this account, I'm going to have to try and conserve more scenes. So what I've did is I've basically tried to put as many scenes into the one scene as I possibly can, and that's only because I've got a lot of experience now. I know how the limits of the game are. I know, you know, the thermometer. I know how it all works now and how to best optimize it. So I used to have, like, every room was like its own scene. Even if it was a very small room, it would have its own scene. Now I'm trying to basically fit, like, maybe not an entire building, but maybe like an entire floor into the one scene. And it's been pretty fun trying to fit everything in. And, you know, there's two playable characters in the game, and I was going to have both characters have their own campaign, so I was going to have to duplicate all the scenes and rearrange them. Now I'm trying to basically put both characters in the same scene, so it's going to have a whole new look. The scenes are going to be much tighter. Before I felt like they had a bit too much space, so now I'm trying to make them a little more narrow, a bit more tight, so you can't really just run around all the enemies, you know, you have to face your fears and take them on. I think I kind of changed the level design a little bit so that it would encourage you to be ready for combat and make sure every bullet counted, basically. So that's what I was doing before I got sick. I started to go over all of the level design and just tighten it up, try and put as many of the rooms and the scenes together into the one scene, and basically just try and optimize the entire game. And in that time I was struggling to get some voice actors. It was quite difficult, but I'm almost there. I think I've got a solution now. That was the only thing that was holding me back, but now that I'm starting to feel better again, I'm getting back to game dev. That's why I'm back with the channel, and you know, I want to get back and do some more live streams and show you guys some progress. But basically an update on what exactly the exact state that I am right now. So one of the main environments in the game is a hospital. So what I've basically done so far is there's one building in the hospital. It's separated into like 3 buildings, let's say. So the first building has 3 floors and a basement. So what I've done is I'm working on one of the floors. So you've got like the nurse's station, you've got the hallways, you've got the patient rooms, the bathrooms, the little corridors that split off into the other buildings, the other sections of the hospital. And then you've got some other rooms like, you know, operating rooms and locker rooms and all these kind of things. So I'm basically making one big floor, and it's almost done. And once I start to put in some of the finer details and do the lighting, I'm basically going to copy and paste the floor and then rearrange it, because I feel like that's going to save me a lot of time. Because if you're in a hospital, you go from floor 2 to floor 3, it's basically the same structure, but I'll change things around and I'll make it unique for each floor, so it's not like you're going through the same environment again. One of the other struggles I had was with character sculpting. That's something that I'm still trying to learn, and in my mind I wanted to make a really realistic looking game, so I wanted the characters to have proper facial expressions, and you know, when they talk I wanted it to have like proper lip sync. I might have to abandon that idea because I think it's, even if I do a really good job, I still think it's not going to be good enough. I think people are going to look at it and think that's really weird. So what I think I might do is like, you know, early PS2 kind of games where they didn't really have a lot of facial expressions. It was just very simple. Instead of making cutscenes where, you know, really cinematic cutscenes where the camera goes right into the face of the characters, I think I'm going to do more old school, you know, PS1, PS2 kind of cutscenes where the camera's a little further back. You can see like the whole body of the character, and you know, I think it's the wiser choice, because I don't think I'm going to get that level of detail that's going to make it look good if I really zoom in. Because I saw a lot of Dreams games and a lot of indie games where they try and make cinematic games but their graphics just aren't there and it just doesn't look good. So I don't want to put all that effort in and think, okay, for me this is good, but in general it's not so good. So I think for cutscenes and the story, I'm going to, instead of making it more modern, more cinematic, I'm going to scale it back a bit, make it a little more retro. Like, it's still going to have the story, it's still going to have all the voice acting, it's just going to be done in a different way, in a way that makes it easier for me to make, and it kind of fits together, you know, kind of makes sense. But it is a very old school kind of game, this is an old school survival horror game, so there's going to be tank controls, there's going to be fixed cameras, you know, there's an inventory system. So I kind of wanted to blend like an old game with like new cutscenes, so that it would be like the best of both worlds. But I think I'm just going to make it entirely old school now. I think that's the way I'm going to go, because the only way I'm going to finish this game is if I optimize entirely. I'm going to have to look at every portion of the game and think, realistically, how can I get this game out and still be acceptable, still look good, still play well? Because in my mind it's like, oh no, I want this big game with amazing graphics and cinematic cutscenes, and you know, ideally that's what I want, but I'm just a solo dev and I don't have that much time because I'm doing it as a hobby. So I have to be realistic and think, well, okay, in my mind I see it one way, but if I keep going that way, it's never going to get done. I'll never finish it. So this is just my way of trying to calculate what's the best way forward for the game. So the game is still in development, it is still coming out, it's just taking a bit of time for me to resume progress on it. I'm going to start showing off some of the environments that I've been making. I'm going to try and implement some of the gameplay again so we can actually see the character going around scenes. So definitely look forward to seeing more updates on this game. I want to make a really true survival horror, classic survival horror game. Something that you could say, okay, that is good as like Resident Evil 2. Like that game is up there with that, you know, that level. That's what I'm aiming for. You know, it's not going to be easy, but hey, that's just my ambition. That's what I'm going to go for. One thing I will say is that since Dreams is kind of a dying platform, and I'm not quite ready to go over to Unreal Engine or Unity, etc., this game in Dreams will have flaws. I'm just going to have to accept that. I'm not going to put tons of extra hours into, you know, refining the gameplay or the animations, because I feel like the more time I put into that, it's not going to be worth it, because I don't think a lot of people still play Dreams. I don't think enough people play Dreams. And even if, you know, some of you guys don't have Dreams and you like the game and hey, I'm going to buy Dreams and check it out, fantastic. You know, I'm still going to make a hopefully a great game, you know, as good as I can make it. But I'm just not going to be so hyper fixated on making this big polished game, because if I was to make a commercial game, I would want it to be the absolute best it could be, because you're spending your money on the game and I want to make sure you're getting the absolute best product that I can give you. But since Dreams, it's like you pay for Dreams, but once you're in Dreams, all of the games, all of the creations are free. So I feel like my game is just like a drop in the ocean. You know, it's not really why you're in Dreams, it's just one little point, you know. So I'm going to make it good enough. I'm going to make sure I finish all the environments, get all the gameplay together so we can actually see some progress. But you know, things like the combat, the boss battles, the cutscenes, they might not be as polished as the rest of the game. And I'm trying to accept that. I'm trying to think, okay, that's okay, that's good enough. Because it's honestly the only way I can see this development hell ending. I have to finish this game. For future games, I'm probably going to change tactic. I'm probably just going to focus on YouTube. So, you know, I'll make a short game, or I'll make a portion of a bigger game with no real intention of finishing it unless it happens to get finished one day. You know, I'll just focus on making videos and doing live streams, and you know, what will come, you know. But for this survival horror game, I feel like I owe it to myself, and I owe it to the community that we built, everyone that stood with me through all these years making this game. I feel like I need to finish this. You know, even if they don't play it, I just need to know that I did it, you know. I made one big full game. That was my ambition. For Dreams, for my own game dev aspirations, I want to prove I can do it at least with one game, and then I can say, okay, I did it. And then all the other hobbyist games I make will be smaller scale, or I won't take them as seriously. But I'm still going to be ambitious, I'll still be making more games. I'd love to make a sequel to this game, for example, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself. So that's where I am with this project. Look forward to seeing some bigger updates where I'll show you off the visuals and the gameplay, and we'll start to see it come together, because I feel like a lot of it was a learning process for me, on top of the fact that I kept, you know, going back and updating things and improving things, and it was just an endless cycle. I think that's how development hell starts. You just kind of get stuck, you know, updating things over and over and over again. So I'm just going to accept that I'm on one path now, and I'm feeling good with my health now, I'm feeling good with the channel now, and I also want to say I'm feeling good with this game dev project. So subject, survival, classic survival horror, it's gonna come out. I'm making a declaration that this is happening. So hopefully you guys will stick around and get to see the progress of the game. Hopefully it turns out to be a pretty decent game to play, or even just to watch here on YouTube. So yeah, that's everything I've got to say for the updates on the project. I'll probably make another video for anyone that's new to the series, just to talk through the story and the characters and, you know, everything about the game. I'll probably do something like that later, just to introduce newer people to the game who haven't been watching over the past 4 or so years. So that's everything for today. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like, and if you are new to the channel, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.